He is our help. Hello, everybody. I'm Parker Pruitt, and thank you for joining me on the Inseparable Podcast. In this message on the Inseparable Podcast, I'd like to start off with a question. And that question is, why do we turn from God when things are going our way? Why do we turn from God when things are going well, when life is good, right? Your bills are paid on time, your family's in good health, your career's going the right way, you're getting promoted. You start to forget about God, right? You start to probably pray a little bit less. At least that's the case in my life sometimes. I thought about that this week, and I wanted to share that with you. Sometimes I think we just get complacent and comfortable. And I believe God allows us to feel discomfort at times or trials in life and situations in life to remind you how much you actually need to rely on Him. So at work, for me personally, share a little bit of an example with this. Um, I'm a field training officer as a police officer. That's what I do full time. But the my chain of command trusts me to train the new guys. I'm one of a couple trainers at the department I work at, and for those of you who don't know, training a new police officer is like training a baby how to walk. I mean, it's just so exhausting. It's like um, they don't know their head from their hands, and it's just starting from scratch with everything. Just this is how you talk to people. This is how you write a ticket. This is how you arrest somebody. This is how you handle yourself professionally, and all of those things. There's so many things that go into it, and you've just got. And on top of that, you're going to every single call for service because they want to expose that trainee to everything they possibly can in the first couple months of their training. That way, they get the experience they need when they get out on their own to rely on. Um, so not only was had I started training this new guy the last couple of weeks, which will be my sixth trainee. Very proud of that. It's not an easy feat. I've had 5 successful trainees prior to him, but my sergeant at work, my supervisor, he actually had a family emergency. So I had to drop down to the night shift and cover for him. So not only was I the trainer for this new guy, but in responding to all those calls for service, I also had to, supervise the shift for that night shift all weekend long, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And, I get a lot of anxiety thinking about supervising at work. I'm one of those guys who don't necessarily believe in myself 100%, until I prove it to myself. And to me, I'm still unproven as a supervisor and might be a leader, but, I'm not, in my eyes, supervisor material, if you will. Uh, you have self doubt, and especially in this job, it's like I haven't seen everything, I haven't done everything. Well, if not me, then who, right? So I stepped up to the plate. This isn't my first time doing it, but it's just every single time I get asked and uh, tapped on the shoulder to supervise. It's like all these things run through my mind. Well, what's going to happen? What decisions am I going to have to make for my guys? And all this stuff to keep the city safe, right? And so I've just really had to rely and trust on God to get me through. And I want to give a little shout out to my godmother, Bronna Dotson. And she's really encouraged me this week and been praying for me. And I know I've got a lot of prayer warriors in my corner, and who have always just kept me in their thoughts and prayers, just with my job in general. So I really appreciate that, guys. Um, I do firmly believe that I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for all the prayers. Just all the crazy things that I've been through, all the calls that I've been to. It's like it's been some hairy, some sticky situations that I've been in, and I know that for a fact God has been watching out for me with His mighty angels in my corner. So I really appreciate that. But in any case, um, God, like I said, uses, I think, these scenarios, these instances in life, these situations we find ourselves in to help us realize that we do need Him. I found myself the last few days praying more, listening to more worship music, not being so secular, watching what I say. And I believe I'm closer to God because of this little trial, if you will, this little test. And I believe that's how, we as a country are too here in the United States. We take a lot of things for granted. Um, we, I think we forget often where our help comes from, who our strength comes from. You look at, third world countries. You look at, the poor countries of the world. Those citizens of that country, they have to rely on a higher power, right? They have to, and we do too. But they need reminding of it every single day. To eat, to have a roof over their head, to have a floor. So we here in America and like in the West in general, I believe for the most part um, we idolize and we start to rely on money, career, uh, culture, family, whatever, um, and we get comfortable, right? And that's why I believe that God says, or, the Bible says that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, right? Because we start to replace God with money. We say in God we trust, but do we really? It's really sometimes it's in money we trust. It's in our career we trust. It's in our spouse we trust. Instead of putting our trust in man, let's put our trust in God, who is Lord over everything. If one person in the Bible embodied this message of mine today, it would without a doubt be King David, the King of Israel, hundreds of years before Jesus walked the earth. David was a human. Boy, was he a human. He made mistakes, right? But he was also a man after God's own heart. Despite his shortcomings, despite his sins, right? He was real. He was genuine in his prayers. He had great faith. He was a man of great faith. And when things weren't going his way, or when the nation of Israel that was he was leading and in charge of wasn't going the way that they should go, maybe they were going into battle, and he was like, looking at thousands and thousands of soldiers from the opposing army. He's like, God, it's me again, and starts praying, and I think that encapsulates what I'm trying to say here. He would cry out genuinely, as we often do, genuinely, to God in the form of beautiful psalms. Um, it's like I said, we forget that God exists sometimes, because we get so comfortable. We forget about him. We put him on a shelf. We'll take him down when we need him. But I believe we need reminding of every single day that he is the very breath in our lungs. He is who gives us strength to walk each day, to talk each day, to have the strength and um, courage to navigate the day every single day. So King David in Psalm chapter 46, verse 1 through 3, he says that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. I just think it's important to rely on these psalms, these ancient psalms of King David, when you're going through tough times, right? When you're going through a struggle. He went through those struggles, and he gives you something to lean on. He gives you an encouraging psalm to lean on, and just be of good cheer. Be of a reminder that God is your help in time of need. He is your strength. Another one is Psalm 121, verse 1 and 2. He says, I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. When you start thinking about who God is and his power, He made the entire universe. I just start thinking, like, whenever I think of my problems, I just have to remind myself, God made the expanse, right? The heavens in all its glory, the earth, everything. My little problem is this big, God is this big, right? And it's nothing for him to turn my situation around at the snap of a finger. I've just got to go through it. I've just got to believe that he's right there with me, holding me up, getting me through it. I will come out the other side. And, just like the burning bush was not burnt up. There was fire, but the bush itself was not burned in the Old Testament story. Another example would be the children, the three Hebrew children, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those three children went into the fiery furnace because they would not bow the knee, right? And they would not worship the false idol, the false god. And when they went in that fire, they were not burned up. They were not scathed. Not a hair on their head was harmed, but they had to go through the fiery furnace. They had to go through the tough time, right? They had to go through the fear, the trembling, the, oh my gosh, this is going to be crazy. I might die here, but God is with me. And there was a fourth man in that furnace. The fourth man was Jesus. He was going through it with them. The Son of Man, he was going through it with him. He's going through your tough situation too with you. You might not feel it, but he's right there holding you up, sustaining you. So I want to just encourage you again, guys, that he is our help in time of need. He is our strength when we need it. So rely on him today. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you guys got something out of this. God bless you.